What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Life with Wendy Mother. If you're new to this channel, hi, my name is Wendy Mother, aka Mama Fabian, and I'd like to welcome you to the Life with Wendy Mother familia. Woo! If you're new to this channel, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and join the gang. Guys, stima zimepotea, but we've decided we're going to be relying on natural lighting because skin, I don't know if I should even zoom for you guys to see how good my skin is doing. I have posted a video on products that I use for my skincare. It's on my Instagram, handle is here somewhere. Make sure that you check that out. And yeah, today we're going to be talking about bitter truths of motherhood. I decided my channel is all about positivity, you know, telling you everything about motherhood, but the one disservice I did for you, my moms, is not coming through with the bitter truths, and it's taken me a while to get here, but we're here and we got notes on notes on notes. So let's get on into the video. Also, guys, there's a dog here that's constantly barking, so ignore that. So and I actually got more information from another mom. So Esther J, if you're watching this, thank you so much. One of the bitter truths about being a mom or entering the besthood, aka motherhood, is one, body dysmorphia will be your friend for a while, because now you're going to be seeing your body in a totally different light. You're going to be seeing stretch marks that you didn't have before. You're going to be seeing, you know, your body has gone through changes. Wait, I thought there was a song that went like that. Anyway, from head to toe, I'm telling you, starting with the nose, your neck discoloration is going to take some time before it disappears. Let's get on down to the boobies. Once you start breastfeeding, those guys are going to be fighting gravity like you have never seen before. And let me tell you why. Because Fabian disrespected me. He's been disrespecting me, let me tell you. This boy had the audacity to ask me, see how you're just chilling, you know, in the house, you don't have a bra, you know, you're just chilling. And this boy had the audacity to ask me, Mom, Ati, why are you, what did he call them? There's a word he used, Ati, why are they down there? And I'm looking at him like, I told him it's because of you. You breastfed for almost 4 years and you didn't want to stop breastfeeding. So here I am dealing with the consequences. And then he's asking me with this look on his face like, why are they looking like that? Like, why are they there? You know, and kids don't know how to lie. Let me tell you, kids cannot lie to save their life. Anyway, onto your stomach, your linea nigra is going to take some time to disappear, which is the line that appears, you know, on your stomach. I still have a bit of mine till now. Let me confirm. Yeah, it's still there a bit, so it doesn't really completely disappear, but it just appears, you know. Of course, your stomach is going to gain some weight, your arms are going to gain some weight, your hips are going to be hipping because they need to extend for you to be able to be a child bearer, you know. Don't forget your back, guys. Your back is going to be killing you. Your back is going to be killing you because of the constant, you know, leaning back automatically that comes when your belly starts becoming bigger, or when you start carrying your baby, especially with the baby carrier, you're going to get those back aches, you know. Your ankles are going to be swollen because your body cannot handle. Your body is getting tired, man, especially when you're going to the last stages of like giving birth. Your ankles are going to betray you. They're going to be swollen. Your feet are going to be swollen to some extent. So I may not have experienced all of this, but there are things that actually happen to us moms that we need to make them normal. We need not just to speak about the positive side of motherhood, we also need to shed some light on the things that I wish you guys knew about. Another thing is your, what is it called? Your cervix. Yes. Personally for me, my cervix kept contracting every time I breastfed. Insert the word uterus every time I say the word cervix, please. In the sense that I would always get these cramps, and they were so painful, like so painful to the extent where like I would curl myself up on the bed, and my mom used to get so worried and she would be like, oh, we need to go back to the hospital and all that. But it's your cervix actually contracting back to size, and breastfeeding, what does it called? Breastfeeding implements that. Or it activates that, yeah, for lack of a better word. Actually, no, that's the word. Breastfeeding activates that a whole exercise of your cervix contracting, so you'll be getting a lot of pain in your stomach. With time it's going to stop, but mine went on for a while. It used to happen like continuously, like frequently, and then after that it started happening like once in a while, and then it stopped. Because even after I gave birth to my second baby, right after giving birth, like that whole other period, my body just, like my cervix was contracting. Like I think that's even more painful for me than labor, because it's so, like, you feel like somebody's doing this to your stomach like this constantly. So we have that. Let's add another thing in case, by the way, this is like a list. I don't know if you're on TikTok, but there's that girl with the list of reasons why not to get pregnant. Your pelvic muscle is going to loosen, that's for sure. That is for sure. Like it is elastic, but even elastic things need to be elasticized. So you need to reactivate. The best thing about muscles is that they have memory, so you need to trigger basically the memory of your pelvic muscles by doing like pelvic floor exercises, especially if you're somebody who works out. These ones will come automatically with the type of workouts that you do, because most of the workouts really require you to involve your pelvis, your what is it called, your core. So you're going to be needing to tighten all these places. You need to really work to be able to return your pelvic muscle to the strength that it used to have. So like when you go and pee, you hold, you let go, you hold, you let go, or when you're just sitting randomly, you hold, you let go. You understand? Like you're just supposed to reactivate that muscle so that it can get back the elasticity that it once had before. Personally, for me, anybody who knows me knows my threshold for pain is like at an all-time high, you understand? So I wouldn't really be the right person to tell you something about like labor pain, but I will look for a mom. I promise you guys, I'm going to look for a mom, and she's going to tell me her labor and delivery story. If you feel like your labor and delivery story is different from mine, which I've recorded before, you can go check those other videos out. Hit me up in the comment section and we can collaborate, and you can tell guys your version of what you thought labor felt like and how painful was labor for you from a 0 to a 10. But generally it is painful, depending on your threshold of pain, depending on your mental state at that time, because even your mental state really affects how you feel on a normal day, be it like if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling happy, it all comes from the mind. So my fellow mom was telling me that she got wrist pain, like her wrists here, her wrists were in so much pain because of carrying the baby, and nobody really prepared her for that. So for a long period of time, or for a period of time, she would see her baby crying, but she could not carry her baby because her wrists were in so much pain because of the constant lifting, you know. And then of course when you're sleeping at night, you have to carry the baby, cries, you wake up, you go carry them, like that just constantly carrying of the baby, especially if you give birth to a baby is like 4 to 5 kgs, you end up having like a really heavy baby, and you know you have to have them in your arms literally almost all the time. So it's going to cause some strain on your wrist. And then another thing we have is nipple cracks. That one I did experience, especially because of breastfeeding a lot, and sometimes it comes from like not latching the baby properly on your nipples, and that ends up like they're sucking on just part of the nipple instead of like the whole area. That thing is painful, like it's painful. Like when that happened to me, I would see Fabian and he's crying and he wants to breastfeed, and I would also start crying because I'm like, nah, this is too damn painful. Like you're looking at your nipples and they're literally cracking. I would apply like nipple cream, and I don't know if it's like it just didn't work for me because Fabian was breastfeeding a lot, but it just came to pass. I don't know how it stopped happening, I don't know how my nipples stopped cracking, but it just happened. But my thing is, that thing is painful. That stuff is so painful. Imagine you have a wound and then somebody keeps like putting salt on that wound, so you have the like your nipples are cracking, but at the same time you still have to breastfeed because your child is hungry. Even when you pump, the pump is still like, you know, the suction motion is even making the nipples even more painful. Like, let me tell you, nobody prepares you for that. It's a truth. And your nipples will crack at some point, unless you get someone who will really, because me, I didn't have anyone to teach me how to latch properly except the first day after I gave birth to Fabian, and that was it. So after that, it was just, you know, you're winging it, and if you get somebody to help you latch properly, the better, because that thing is painful. Your milk supply may not just come for like the first week that you've given birth. So like for me, after I left the hospital, my milk supply was so little that Fabian wouldn't get full, so he would constantly be crying. And I remember I'd also cry because I'd be telling my mom, like, I also want to be able to feel like connected to my child, and I didn't want them to drink formula right now because they're still young and stuff like that. My mom's friend, her daughter had also given birth, so she also had the same problem, and she was telling me like what she did to be able to get like the milk supply. So you mix cocoa, not drinking chocolate, cocoa ile kali, una mix cocoa ile kali na soup ya nyama, alafu unakunywa, and then your milk, and trust you me, it worked for me, and my milk started coming out. But nobody told me like milk supply wouldn't be like automatic the first few days, so you need to put that in mind so that when it doesn't happen, you don't feel like you're a failure as a mom, because that's how I felt. I felt like my body is betraying me, and my body doesn't want my child to feed. Far from like the physical bit of it and how it actually affects like your life in general, you're forever going to be responsible for this human being. Anything that they do, whether good or bad, is going to be referenced back to you, in the sense that if your child becomes successful, people will praise you. If your child doesn't become successful, people will come back to you and say you didn't parent them properly. And maybe you parented them the best way that you knew how, with the things that you had and the time that you had, you know. Like for example, like our parents, they went through their own stuff for them to be able to raise us, and there's a way that they raised us that we don't agree with right now that we're adults, you understand, and you work on that. And then Fabian will grow up, and maybe there's something that I did when he was growing up that he didn't like, and then, you know, it's always like about breaking that cycle of like, this was done to me, so I need to do the same for my child. No, because at the end of the day, anything that child does is going to come back to you, because it will never be Fabian did this. It will be he did this because he was raised like this, so it's his parents that have a problem. So you are going to be responsible for this human being for the rest of your life until they die or until you die. Imagine, like, there is no way out. You can never just wake up and say like, this is not going to be my child. They will look for you, they will find you, and you know, you will remember that you were a mom, you will remember that you were a dad, and you left a child somewhere. So I would urge, I'm not saying like if you're ready or you're not ready, but really think carefully before you decide to have a child, because also it will also affect your lifestyle going forward, the way you interact with your friends, your availability. Even if you have somebody to take care of your child back at home, like somebody who's helping you, it's still going to play a role, because you have to be physically responsible there for your child. You just don't leave them for someone else and then you go do your things. You still have to be a present parent. So your social life is also going to get affected. You're not going to be able to do the things that you used to do before, because one is going to suffer. If you decide to go back to your previous lifestyle, or if you decide that you're still going to live the life that you lived before, even with the child, your child is going to suffer to some extent or at some point. And if you decide like you're going to just focus on your child, you're also going to suffer, because you're not giving time to yourself to be able to, you know, be somebody outside of being a mom or being a dad. So you have to find a really good balance between the two, because the two can coexist. You can still live your life, but at the same time not neglect parenthood, and you can still be a parent and at the same time, you know, live your life. So it's a balance that takes some time to be able to get the hang of, but when you do, it becomes something very easy, because being a parent, especially for moms, it's nature, like you're a naturalist. The financial bit about raising a child is, for example, when they're like infants, there's diapers, there's hospital visits, especially those jabs, and of course you don't want to give your child the jab because there's the one that is painless, and then there's this other one, yakanjo. So of course you don't want your child to be crying the whole night, fever and those things, of which of course it's more expensive. And then during that infant period, when you're starting to wean them from like 6 months, you have to incorporate like all the vegetables you're going to buy, all the utensils that you're going to buy, because the baby's utensils cannot be mixed with the other people's utensils, because they need to be cleaner, you understand. like toys you have to buy for them, books, you know, paying for daycare when the time comes for them to start going to daycare. And then we go now to toddler stage where they now have to start going to school. And then, you know, a child will always need something. Even me at this age, I'm going to need something for my parents at one point or another. Like, you're always going to need something. So you need to be able to be financially, nobody is saying like you have to have everything figured out, like stuff to do with insurance, medical insurance, education insurance, saving for this child. Nobody is saying that you have to have all these things figured out, but you need to be in a position where you can still be able to give the lifestyle that you gave to the first child to your second child, and even better. You understand? Not that one has to experience and say, oh, you weren't there when kina mom and dad had money, life was like this. No, you have to maintain like the same lifestyle for all your kids. That way they don't feel like they were ever, you know, less than the other. You know, even kids sometimes they always feel like maybe you have a favorite and stuff like that. Another bitter truth about motherhood, you never know what you're getting into until you're actually there. So for you to be able to be that person who says, mi nikihaikuwa mzazi sitaifanya hivi, me when I give birth I'll never do this to my child. Never ever say that this won't happen to you, or never ever say that I wouldn't do this, or you know, you never know where somebody got to for them to be able to say like to do what they're doing, or you never know what's going on behind closed doors for people to behave that they're behaving. So it is your responsibility to be able to, especially when you're being given like advice as a new mom, to take what you think applies to you and what you feel like you'll be able to apply to your child, and then leave the rest out. You don't have to take everything. You don't have to be so mad or so bitter when people tell you do this, do this. No, it is you. The child is yours. You're the mother. You know the pain of what you went through when you were giving birth. You're the decision maker. You're the one who gets to decide, I can do this, I can do this. But don't be judgmental. Don't judge other people for doing something that you wouldn't do. For example, maybe people give their kids formula from the time that they are born, and then you're like, missy wezi, I need to breastfeed. No. Yes, there are a lot of benefits to breastfeeding, and it's been proven so. There are a lot of benefits to breastfeeding, but you never know. Somebody couldn't be able to produce milk like the way I was talking about my first week. Somebody is, you know, this is not the child's real mother. Maybe the mother passed away. This is now the sister taking care of the child. Like, maybe the mom has an illness that doesn't enable her to be able to breastfeed her child. So there are so many things that can be going on that you don't know about. So never be a never sayer, basically. Don't be the never sayers. Like, just, if you're given advice, take the ones that you want and leave the rest out. I'm going to finish with postpartum depression, which happens to a lot of moms, and most of the times you never really know what you're going through until it actually happens. It happened to me when I gave birth to my second child and she passed away. I really do believe that that is the time that I went through postpartum depression, because first of all, my body was going through the most. My body was just looking horrible. I had like all these breakouts because of, you know, my blood pressure being low. I had COVID. Like, there were so many things happening, and then on top of that, I kept blaming myself for the passing of my child. So a lot of things happened after the giving birth of your child, and you need to have not only a supportive partner, but you also need to get the help that you need. If you feel, you won't even feel that you're being depressed. You just need to have people around you who will be able to tell when you need help, not at you asking for help. No, people to just make it the journey easier for you. You understand? Like taking the baby and letting you sleep, doing more chores around the house, so that you don't have to worry about a lot, and you can be able to settle into this new version of you that requires you to be a mom and requires you to be a parent. Because most of the time, from my opinion, postpartum depression happens because you're literally evolving from one person to a totally different person, and there's nothing as, not bad really, but there's nothing as confusing and as scary as moving into something that you've never experienced before. That's where fear comes from, when you have no idea of what is coming ahead of you. So you find yourself like being like, you know, unaji self-doubt, and then you self-sabotage, and then, you know, that's where all these things come from. So for any mom or any partner watching this, and you have a friend or you have somebody close to you that is going to be a parent, please be there for them. give them a helping hand even without them asking. Don't wait for them to ask. You can see that she has, you know, given birth to a whole new human being, and she's trying to maneuver how she's going to be able to still find herself or still be herself while being the best parent possible to this little child. So be there for the moms in your life, be there for the moms who've lost kids in your life, and just give them all the support that they need, because there is no manual to motherhood. There is no manual that will ever show you that this is exactly what you're supposed to do, because every situation ends up being different. How I became a mom, or how like the journey was for me the whole time during my pregnancy, and what you'll experience is two totally different things. You might have like some symptoms. You'll find some people have nausea, some people don't. Some people gain weight, some people don't. So, you know, like everything is going to be different, and your journey is different and unique to you, and you need to embrace it in a way that you can be able to talk about it every single day and be proud of the woman that you've become, and be proud of the mother that you've become, because you're like, I stood this journey. Even after the journey, this and this happened, and I was able to pull myself out of it, and out of that I've been able to become even a better version of myself, and even a better mom to my child. And that's just how motherhood is. You will never know when you're doing something right, or you'll know when you're doing something wrong, but you'll never always know it, or you'll never always be aware of it. So yeah, I guess just some of the things that I feel like I should have shed light on, because it's not all petals and roses and lilies, you know, and like a garden full of love. Even the first time you might see your child after giving birth, you might not have that, oh my god, my baby crying type of moment like you've seen most women talk about. You might just see your child and instantly hate them, or just see them and be like, oh my god, you know, like feel this disconnection, because you're like already starting to get worried about the unknown, like I said before. So I hope this video has been influential and informative to somebody who's maybe thinking about motherhood, has a mother, is pregnant, or you know, is just watching it for the day that comes when they'll decide to enter this very, very amazing hood. Because at the end of the day, it's very, very rewarding when you bring up a whole human being and they end up, you know, changing the world, or becoming such a nice upright type of person, and you're just so proud of them, because you can say like, I really did the best that I could, and I can see the fruits of my labor. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in as usual. But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in as usual. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell button so that you can receive a notification every time that I post a new video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to live, love, be anything that you want to be. Also share the videos. Bye guys.